Retirement is scary for many people, even the most prepared. But here's the thing, having money saved isn't enough. What truly matters is how you use it. So where should you take money from in order to pay your monthly bills? Accessing your retirement accounts in the right order can make a massive difference in how long that your money lasts and how much you lose to taxes. So I'm breaking down exactly where to pull funds from first to keep more money in your pocket and make sure your retirement plan is successful. In retirement, Social Security can cover part of the monthly bills, but there's often a significant gap that needs to be filled between what Social Security provides and what you need to enjoy retirement. This gap is filled by your nest egg, the savings and investments that you made during your lifetime. I hope you made a lot of them. Should you pull funds first from your pre-tax 401k or your IRA? Should you pull from your Roth IRA or your HSA account? Should you pull from your non-retirement account investments? Making the wrong move can lead to much higher taxes than you should pay and a much shorter lifespan for your retirement savings. To show you just how impactful these decisions can be, have a look at this hypothetical couple situation. They've accumulated a $1.4 million nest egg by saving and investing over 30 years. Great job by them. With planning software, I'm able to show you the difference between withdrawing funds equally from all accounts, typically called pro rata, versus first using non-retirement assets, then using their tax-deferred IRAs, and finally using their Roth IRAs for distributions. In this case, the difference between a basic withdrawal strategy and a carefully planned tax-efficient approach could provide them with more than $500,000 in additional portfolio value during their retirement. That's not just a minor adjustment, it's a life-changing difference. So the first step to design an optimal retirement income strategy is identifying your fixed income streams. These are your reliable, predictable sources of income like Social Security, assuming that they keep it the way that they've had it, your pension, rental income, or annuities. Understanding the timing of these income sources is crucial. For instance, you might retire at 60, but not start claiming Social Security until 67 or 70, creating a potential 6 to 10 year window where you'll need to generate income entirely from your investments. Or you might decide to turn on your Social Security as soon as possible and let more of your nest egg grow. Or maybe you have an annuity where you can turn on the income stream at a certain age. It's important to map out your options. So let's break down the practical math a bit further. Once you've figured out what your annual fixed income is in the year you want to retire, we want to determine the percentage of your expenses that are covered by this income. Imagine you retire at 62 and your monthly expenses in retirement are $5,000. You decide to turn on Social Security as soon as possible and are receiving $2,000 a month. And you get $1,500 a month in net rental income from a townhouse that you have that you rent out. You've covered 70% of your expenses. That means that your nest egg needs to generate the other $1,500 a month or 30% to cover your expenses in year one. It's very important to know how much these fixed income sources are, but also when they will start. Now, if you're retiring early, say at age 60, but you plan to delay claiming Social Security until your full retirement age, which is around age 67 for most people watching this, or you might even do it later to maximize your benefit, that gap becomes even larger. Without Social Security kicking in right away, you'd be responsible for funding the entire $5,000 per month per year through that rental income and your portfolio for those first 6 to 7 years. That's over $300,000 that you would need to draw from your portfolio if your expenses increased a little each year in those first years of retirement before you even receive a dime from Social Security. This early gap isn't necessarily a bad thing though. It can actually open up incredible planning opportunities depending on your situation. With little to no income during those early retirement years, before Social Security, pension, or annuity income kick in, you may be in a very low tax bracket, which gives you the chance to realize long-term capital gains at a 0% rate from your non-retirement accounts. Or you could perform Roth conversions at the lower tax rates. If you don't have any fixed income sources at this time, you could actually generate up to $100,000 of capital gains and pay zero in taxes depending on your situation. It's really an incredible strategy, but it does require careful planning. Knowing the size of your income gap and how long it will last helps shape your withdrawal strategy and ensures that you don't deplete your accounts too quickly and helps you avoid surprise tax bills down the road. Now, most retirees typically hold their savings and investments across 4 main types of accounts, and each comes with its own set of tax rules and planning opportunities. The first are what Ed Slott and I like to call the forever taxed accounts, or tax-deferred accounts like traditional 401ks and IRAs. These accounts gave you a tax break when you contributed. Your money went in before being taxed and it grew tax-free. But when you withdraw funds in retirement after age 59 and a half, every dollar is taxed as ordinary income. This can quickly push you into higher tax brackets, especially when required minimum distributions kick in. And if you pass on these accounts to your heirs, they are the worst type of accounts to inherit, because the funds are taxable as income to your heirs and don't get a step up in cost basis at death. Second are non-retirement or sometimes taxable accounts. These don't offer tax breaks when you contribute, but they're more flexible. When you sell investments in these accounts, you may owe capital gains tax on the profit. However, as I said earlier, if you held the asset for more than a year and your taxable income is low enough, you might qualify for 0% long-term capital gains rates. That makes this account a powerful tool for early retirement years when income is lower and for legacy transfer because your heirs receive a step up in cost basis at the date of your death. Third are what Ed Slott and I call the never taxed accounts or tax-free accounts like Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks. These are often the most valuable in the long term. You contribute after-tax dollars, but the money grows tax-free and can be withdrawn tax-free in retirement after age 59 and a half, both principal and the gains. Because withdrawals don't count as income, they won't affect your tax bracket, your Social Security taxability, or even your Medicare premiums. That's pretty powerful. I've never met a client who didn't wish that they had more in these types of accounts once they got to retirement. And the kicker is that with Roth IRAs, you can always access your own contributions penalty and tax-free if you need them, while passing along them to your beneficiaries tax-free. Lastly, the triple tax-free, never taxed health savings accounts or HSAs. You receive a tax deduction when you contribute, the savings grows over time without taxes, and those funds can be withdrawn at any time for medical expenses tax-free, even Medicare premiums. You can use the funds for other purposes, but the gains become taxed, similar to a traditional 401k or IRA, as long as you're over age 65. Okay, now that you're up to speed on the various types of accounts, and assuming you have each of these, what's the most efficient withdrawal strategy? Well, in many cases, the best approach is to start with non-retirement, sometimes taxable accounts. If you have little to no other income, then you may be able to realize those long-term capital gains tax rates, those 0% tax rates. Really powerful. This creates a window of opportunity to access the money tax-free while keeping your overall income low. Once the taxable accounts are drawn down, the next step is often to move to tax-deferred accounts. At this point, you'll likely have some income from other sources, like Social Security, so your withdrawals will be taxed. But by sequencing this properly, you can fill up lower tax brackets with the income from withdrawals from the tax-deferred accounts and avoid being pushed into higher ones later on when the RMDs become mandatory. As you spend down your traditional tax-deferred accounts, you want to be cognizant of those tax brackets. As you fill up those low brackets, withdrawing traditional tax-deferred IRA and 401k funds, there can be quite a large jump if you need more money to cover the gaps. Based on current tax brackets, your tax rate could jump from 12% all the way to 22%, or from 24% to 32%. Those are big jumps. And this is where you should access HSA money and potentially Roth IRA money that isn't taxed. so that your tax rates stay in those lower brackets. But only access these funds if you see that you're about to go over a threshold. HSA money should be used before Roth IRA money in most cases, as long as there's medical expenses to use. And of course, we're going to save Roth withdrawals for last. These accounts continue to grow tax-free, so the longer you can let them sit growing tax-free, the better. Plus, since they don't count as income, pulling from a Roth won't increase your tax bill or impact Medicare premiums and Social Security taxation. In fact, preserving your Roth for later in retirement or even for legacy planning can significantly improve your long-term financial outlook. This layered withdrawal strategy isn't just about taxes in the moment. It's about controlling your income levels year over year, reducing the tax on your Social Security, avoiding Medicare surcharges, and extending the life of your portfolio. When it's done right, it can result in hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional value over your retirement. Let's take the example of Mark and Lisa Thompson. They're a couple living in California with a combined investment portfolio of $1.4 million. Their assets are spread across non-retirement accounts, traditional 401ks, IRAs, and Roth IRAs, just like many retirees. At first glance, it might seem like simply withdrawing funds as needed would be enough, and it probably would be. But by using a strategic withdrawal sequence, Mark and Lisa could significantly increase the long-term value of their portfolio. Here's how. Instead of withdrawing evenly from all accounts, which is a common mistake that's made by retirees, they follow a more tax-efficient order, starting with their taxable account, then moving to their tax-deferred IRA accounts, and finally tapping into their Roth IRAs last. This order allows them to take advantage of the low capital gains tax rates early on and avoid being pushed into higher income tax brackets later. So what's the result? They could potentially boost the after-tax value of their retirement savings by $500,000 over the course of their retirement. But it gets even better. During the early years of retirement, before their Social Security benefits begin, they're in a much lower tax bracket. And this creates an ideal window to implement Roth conversions. That's transferring funds from their traditional IRA to a Roth IRA while paying taxes at today's lower rates. So what if they decided to fill up the 12% tax bracket by converting 401k and IRA funds to Roth IRAs in those early years? Well, by strategically filling up that lower tax bracket before they turn on Social Security, they not only reduce future required minimum distributions, but also build a growing pool of tax-free income for the future. Over time, this proposed Roth conversion strategy could increase their total portfolio value by as much as $1.8 million, all by minimizing future taxes, protecting their Social Security benefits from taxation, and keeping their Medicare premiums lower. It's a powerful reminder that how you withdraw your money can matter just as much as how you invest it. So what's the bottom line? Well, remember, retirement income planning isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It requires careful consideration of your unique financial landscape, tax implications, and your long-term goals. Don't just implement strategies that you saw on the internet without first discussing them with your tax and financial advisors. Being intentional about your withdrawal strategy can potentially reduce your lifetime tax bill and significantly enhance your financial security. And if you own a business and are interested in optimizing your financial planning, you can get started working with me today by visiting celestialwm.com and clicking the Start Here tab to schedule an initial call. Still not sure you want to talk yet? Head over to my resource center and learn more about my financial planning process by watching my 35-minute complimentary training. And check out this video next for even more ways to supercharge your net worth.